Have a think about all the best entertaining areas you've been to. I reckon all of them have a couple of things in common. Somewhere to cook, somewhere to clean, somewhere to serve, plenty of room to sit down, and somewhere to keep some icy cold beers. So now we've got the list of things we need, we thought we'd better throw it on some paper. This is what we come up with. Time to hook in. First up, went to the hardware and got a whole stack of form ply. It's going to be the go for this job because it's outside and form ply is resistant to outdoor weather. After cutting up a handful of 100mm strips, I can get to building a plinth. It's a pretty basic but strong structure that we can get nice and level and have some fixing points for our cupboards. And there was actually a lot more in it than what I expected. And of course I put way more ribs in than I had to, but better safe than sorry. Now that we got that job rolled, we'll level it up, screw it down with some L brackets, and then it's time to start cutting and throwing together some cupboards. Again, we're using form ply for this because it's outdoors and it's nice and strong. To kick it off, we're cutting a whole stack of strips at 555, and that'll do the sides and the bases of our cupboards. Then we just cut them all to length. Now we've got the sides and bases done, we can work on the backs of the cupboards. They're a little bit different, but it's alright, we've got a list, we'll get through them. While I'm cutting them, you'll see Joe's starting to put them together. Now that they're all made up, hopefully we've done everything right and it all fits. After a few goes of getting them in the right spot, we finally got it sorted, screwed them down to the plinth and screwed them to one another to keep it nice and stable. We chucked in a couple of shelves and now it's time for the benchtop. Once that goes in, it'll really start looking like something. We did think about making the bench top ourselves. We were going to use a whole bunch of that hardwood that we pulled out of that old house we knocked over. In the end, smarter minds prevailed and we just bought some from Bunnings. It was expensive, they weren't in the best condition, but we just ripped them to size, glued the offcuts together, and away we went. Quick tip for new players, make sure you seal the end grains of these sorts of things when you get them. The ambient moisture in the air can get into them and ruin them real quick. Now that they're sitting in place, we'll install an end panel and fill in any big cracks, gaps and holes using a mixture of PVA glue and sawdust. I'll start sanding down the bench tops, and while I'm doing that, Joe's going to start cutting up some of this beautiful black butt that I jagged off Facebook Marketplace. We're going to cut it up for our cupboard doors. Once he's worked his way through the list, He'll set up the router and put some recesses in the backs of them to make a nice little spot for our mini orb to sit. Isn't that just nice and neat? Meanwhile, I wonder what that other bloke's up to. Haha, suck eggs. Anyway, once the routering's finished, we're going to jump on the chisel and square those rounded ends up, and we can start screwing together some shakers. Reckon that other bloke's finished his sanding yet? I'm still standing. Yeah. Anyone feeling sorry for him yet? Yeah, me either. Sucked in. Anyway, back to the shakers. If you're going to try this yourself, definitely go and get yourself one of these Craig pocket hole jigs. They're so good. We would not have got this done without it. Hey look, the sanding bloke's finished. We're just putting a couple of hardwood strips around this bench top. It'll give us a nice rustic finish, and we're going to install it with a couple of 3-inch nails. We're going to leave all the saw marks on there as well, just to add to the look. Once they're in, we'll rub some oil into it. And there's the bench top more or less finished. Looks bloody unreal, doesn't it? Just got a few more of those shakers to make up, and we'll be on to the next job. Now, you might be wondering, just like me, why the hell are they called shakers? And I gave it a Google for you, and it's still no clearer. So I'm just going to put it down to one of those things that we weren't supposed to know. You know, like who puts the holes in donuts? Or where do socks lost in the dryer go? Anyway, that's enough philosophy, on to the next job. We've got another Craig jig here to put these hinges on the shaker doors. And again, this thing's bloody unreal, so if you're going to do this, I suggest grabbing one. I'm screwing the holes and putting the hinges in, and Joe will give them a test fit. We'll have to pull them back off again to give them a sand and an oil, but we'll get a bit of an idea as how they all fit together. And this way, we can make any adjustments as needed. Unfortunately, we were a few hinges short, so we couldn't get that satisfying finish, but we'll pull the doors off, give them a sand, router and arris on the edges of them so we don't have any sharp bits, then they're all prepped for oil and we can put them all back on later. We're getting close now, only a couple more jobs to do, starting with the kickers. We'll plane them down and screw them in. Meanwhile, I'll start working on installing the kitchen sink. Oh yeah, she's coming together now. We'll throw the pipes through the floor down underneath to connect to the sewer, finish off fixing the kickers in, then we'll be getting stuck into cutting up the mini orb to finish off these shakers. We planned on putting a bar fridge under the bench at that left hand end there, but have you guys seen how expensive those things are to run? So we ended up just changing it to a storage place for firewood, and we'll get a nice black stand-up fridge that's a bit more environmentally friendly. Next job, paint the ceiling, paint the rafters and paint the posts. Then we'll give the deck one final coat, and that'll have it rolled. Stay tuned for the final reveal in the next video. Thanks for coming. Hooroo!